Oh, they're soft and they're firm. Actually really nice. Going into umber type tones, into I suppose you could call these kind of erring on the way of flesh tones. These are fantastic oil pastels. Good morning, John here for a Thursday. Lovely sunny day as usual. I did a review on these around about a month ago. Now these are the Tricolour 2020 Extra Soft Oil Pastels. And at the time we wondered if they were a Paul Rubens mock-up or fake. But I established that they are not. In fact, I prefer these to the Paul Rubens, and a bigger set would be very appreciated. So I investigated these. I tried to find more of these and I couldn't. However, I came up with these. And these are the pastels that I created in a post that I said are absolutely brilliant. Well, from first reflections, we'll have a look during this video to see exactly what they're like. However, these are also tricolour, which was quite amazing. And I also established that these are also tricolour. So we've got them two that are tricolour, and we've also got that Paul Rubens mock-up, if you like. I'm going to call it that just because it's easy to refer to. So these are all tricolour. So it turns out that tricolour must be a company within their own rights, and they're producing oil pastels. So it's a new oil pastel. Now these I quickly tried and were brilliant. These I've got to establish whether they are as good as these. But I believe these are the Morandi and these are the classic colours. And these are student level, whereas the other box that looks like the Paul Rubens box says extra soft on them. So you would presume from that that that's probably more their artist level. I think they can do a lot more with these pastels, because I think that they need to come up with you know, some light fastest ratings. But having said that, they keep the price cheap because of that, and these are exceptionally good value for what they are. Let's go over to the desk and see what they're like. So just to recap, these are the ones I did before, the 48 colour high soft new tricolour 2020. Don't know what the 2020 stands for, but there's not a lot on them. Just have a look at the last video. I'll try and tag it up at the end so you can see it. But as you can see, they look like a bit messed up at the moment. They look like a bit of a Paul Rubens mock-up, but I've established that I think they are better. And there's your colour range. So they're brilliant. They really are good. But now we've got these. These are the Morandi set, I believe, and these are the classic set. And I'm going to review these separately in another video. I'm going to compare them with the Morandi set at some point. So we're going to have a look at this set for the moment. Let's have a look on the back, and literally everything is in Chinese, apart from where it says artist oil pastel, made in China, QC passed. They do have numbers which suggests they have singles somewhere. They'd be probably exceptionally hard to find in the UK, I would imagine, or probably anywhere else. But they have that on there, and on the front it says student level oil pastel. Well, that makes you think they're a cheap mock-up again, but they do say new tricolours, which is exactly what it says on this box. So it's obviously a company. It also says it on this box, and that's their logo. Let's have a look at these colours, shall we? It's a nice box, pretty decent box. Yeah, I quite like that. Thin bit of foam as normal. And what we have here is what I would call a greyish, Morandi-ish type of colour palette. I can't tell you it's Morandi for definite because it doesn't actually say that on the box. I I think it may say that on the advert from where I bought them, but I can't be sure. But it's actually a really beautiful colour range. I mean, that is an exceptional colour. I do really like that colour. And I can see me using that quite a bit. But there's not a lot to be said on the actual oil pastel. There's a number, it says student level. I think they're probably better than that, if I'm being honest. I think that's just to differentiate from their other ones that look like the Paul Rubens. But that's all it says, which is a bit of a shame, because this is a really nice set. Look at that, them two absolutely fantastic colours. I do love these type of muted colours, and that one. But it's got a lovely range to it. You know, a small set of purples, which is good. Very light blue, which I like. And this type of reddish blue is always well welcome for skies. And greyish type blues. And it's got some beautiful yellows going into umber type tones. Into, I suppose you could call these kind of erring on the way of flesh tones, especially that one. And 4 white oil pastels. So, all in all, that's a really nice set. It's going to make an additional presence to other sets you've got, because you can't just use this set. There's not enough dark colours. There's not a black. You know, it is just an additional set. But my first thoughts upon trying these very briefly was that these are fantastic oil pastels and well worth adding to your collection, especially at the price. You can pick these up probably around about £8, which I think is absolutely brilliant, especially given the first try I've had with them. Let's have a blend, shall we? So, somebody asked me the other week if I could actually use a red, a blue and a yellow to see if they mix. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Why not? Why not indeed? So I'll use the best red I've got in the, which is kind of an orangey red, but we'll use it. Oh, they're soft. And they're firm. Actually, really nice. Oh, very silky. Nice. So we just layer that on there. Very opaque, that colour. And we'll use a yellow. We're going to have to just use the closest to standard colours that we've got. I'm going to zoom you in. They're very nice. They are laying on this page superbly. They're very creamy, very soft, very opaque, quite silky, and laying on like a treat. And we want a blue. Let's have this blue. Oh, they really are nice. No crumbliness. Just a very creamy but firm feeling. I really like that. So let's blend them out. These are really nice. Blend into the next colour. Ooh, get rid of that. Get rid of that. Just blend gently. Very nice. These are performing above what you would expect. I'm going to bring the yellow now up into the red. You can see that we're getting different colours. I think the less blue you mix into the yellow, the more green it's going to look. They are performing fantastically. I'm just going to add a little bit of yellow onto here, just to see if it makes any difference blending. Let's just bring this yellow up here a bit. Otherwise we're going to end up losing the yellow. They are really nice. I got a bit of blue up there, sorry about that. So I'm going to do the pilling. Let's have a look at this pilling, shall we? None whatsoever. None. You can see that they're quite creamy because they've actually come off of my fingers. They're not that sticky though. They feel as if they would really dry out quite well. I'm just going to put a bit here just to see how they blend into each other with your fingers. Not that I recommend fingers because I really don't. Not always, sometimes you can do it. That's nice. Yeah, they're very blendable with your fingers. I would thoroughly recommend these. They are fantastic. I have noticed an exceptional improvement in quality of cheaper oil pastels, especially from China. But these are quite exceptional. Anyway, I've made a mess of all that. Let's get on to the conclusion, shall we? So what did we think of that then? They are superb. They are really great oil pastels, and what makes them even greater is the fact that they are very cheap. They're better than student quality, far better. In fact, I'd put them up in the top realms of some of the oil pastels I've got, for definite. Just ignore this post behind me, by the way. You'll probably focus on it now. It's part of my plein air existence. I put my umbrella on top of that, but it's all attached to everything underneath. But them oil pastels, they're silky, they're creamy, they're firm, which is a good advantage. They don't crumble, they don't pill. They are cheap, they are opaque. What more can you ask from an oil pastel? I think if the classic set works in conjunction with these just as well, which I'm going to test at a later date, then I think you're going to end up with a superb quality cheap set, believe it or not. I think these are equally as good, if not better, in the realms of that than the Arteco. The Arteco would always be the ones that I would push you towards if you were a beginner, because they are cheap, they are fantastic oil pastels, and you won't go wrong with them at all. But in quite the same rate, you get exactly the same with these, but these would be a little bit creamier. So marks out of 10, definite 8, possibly flowing onto a 9. They are that good. So that's the new Tricolour oil pastels. It's obviously a new brand that's come out somewhere along the line. People in China, if you're watching, you probably know a lot more about them than what I will ever know. So it would be interesting to hear from some of you. Tricolour, you're probably not watching, but if you are, please get in touch, because I'd love to do more of your oil pastels if you have them. These are the only 3 sets I can find. But my recommendation is, yes, buy them, and you won't go wrong. Anyway, please don't forget I've got memberships. Please don't forget to subscribe. All the normal housekeeping. And until next time, wherever you are, please have a great day, a great week and a great year. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now. Sorry it was so long in between videos. The head hasn't been quite there. I think maybe the hot weather hasn't helped either. But I hope that was okay, and we'll do another video soon. Bye for now.